If you want to get cancelled by the Chinese government, surprisingly, it's actually not that easy for most Western celebrities. The reason is simple. Chinese authorities know that the majority of the Western audience live within the Western media environment, where stories about China are often filtered through political narratives and sometimes misinformation.
So in China, for example, God, this is going to happen here, I think, too. Although maybe people will fight it. If a traffic camera catches you jaywalking in China, the digital ID system has you. It has your blood now. It has your genetic code. It has your photograph. It can identify how you walk. So even if you can't see a face, you can be picked up by gait.
But one Hollywood actress managed to achieve exactly that.
I'm a little nervous.
All it took was a single answer on a red carpet. From that moment on, she was effectively shut out of the Chinese entertainment market. Today, in the 2026, this incident still offers an interesting lesson, not just about politics, but about public figures should think and speak when responding to sensitive questions, especially questions that could potentially destroy their careers. And perhaps more importantly, as China becomes increasingly influential globally, how should Western audience approach complex issues related to China?
I'll be going to China in a little while.
When the Chinese government reacts strongly to comments made by foreign actors, journalists, or politicians, it usually happens because someone has crossed a very clear political red line.
China is fully prepared to fight to the very end because the world is big enough that the United States is not the totality of the market in the world. So if the United States wants to go in that direction of completely shutting itself out of the China market, be my guest.
Yeah, and China will lose the US market, which, as I've said, is 15%.
We don't care. We don't.
In many cases, this is not just about criticism, it's about how the criticism is expressed. Take politicians, for example. If a politician like Donald Trump publicly criticizes China in front of the Congress or American voters, that's a part of political discourse. That's expected behavior in international politics. But when someone who is not a politician makes extreme or intensity statements, especially about tragedy, the reaction can be very different. Language matters, context matters, tone matters. All those things reveal a person's judgment, awareness, and characters. You can say controversial things, but if those words carry clear malice, you have to be prepared to face the consequence. And in this story, Sharon Stone became a perfect example of what not to do.
What are you gonna do, Davy? Take me off the air?
The story itself is actually very simple. In 2008, China experienced one of the worst natural disasters in its modern history, the 2008 Sichuan earthquake. The earthquake killed nearly 70,000 people and left hundreds of thousands of injured. Entire town was destroyed. It was a national tragedy. One of the few days later, during the Cannes Film Festival, Sharon Stone was asked about the earthquake during a red carpet interview.
Well, it was very interesting because at first I'm, not happy about the way the Chinese are treating the Tibetans because I don't think anyone should be unkind to anyone else. And so I have been very concerned about how to think and what to do about that because I don't like that. And then I've been just, concerned about, how should we deal with the Olympics because they're not being nice to the Dalai Lama, who's a good friend of mine. And then all this earthquake and all this stuff happened, and I thought, is that karma? Is that karma? Is that karma? Is that karma? when you're not nice that the bad things happen to you. And then I got a letter from the Tibetan Foundation that they wanted to go and be helpful. And that made me cry. And they asked me if I would write a quote about that. And I said I would, that it was a big lesson to me, that sometimes you have to learn to put your head down and be of service, even to people who aren't nice to you. And that's a big lesson for me.
Her answer shocked millions of people. She suggests that the disaster might be karma. Many Chinese viewers hearing a foreign celebrity describe a massive humanitarian tragedy as a karma feel deeply offensive.
Sharon Stone is perhaps best known for the movie Basic Instinct, but now in China, she's infamous for this.
They're not being nice to the Dalai Lama, who's a good friend of mine. And then all this earthquake and all this stuff happened, and I thought, is that karma? When you're not nice, that the bad things happen to you?
The 50-year-old actress made those comments last week at the Cannes Film Festival by suggesting China's crackdown in Tibet earlier this year was responsible for an earthquake which has killed tens of thousands. She sparked outrage here, especially on the internet. Sharon Stone is retarded, posted one blogger. If she had basic compassion, she wouldn't have said those things, says this woman.
In China, some commentators later described this type of attitude using the phrase white liberal arrogance.
To insult, you often see in online political arguments between Mandarin speakers. The word is baizo. Its literal translation is white left. According to political scientist Chen Zhang, who wrote about the term in a recent Open Democracy piece, members of the white left are, in the view of the Chinese, quote, biased, elitist, ignorant of social reality, and constantly applying double standards. They only care about topics like immigration, minorities, LGBT, and the environment, and have, quote, no sense of real problems in the real world. They're people obsessed with political correctness to the extent they, quote, tolerate backward Islamic values for the sake of multiculturalism. And on top of that, they say, the white left, quote, pity the rest of the world and think they are saviors. Sounds like the Chinese are watching pretty carefully. The term first became popular 2 years ago to describe Angela Merkel and her decision to welcome more than 1 million third world immigrants to Europe. Chinese students and job seekers complained they had to work very hard to stay in Europe, while unskilled migrants could simply show up, claim asylum, and get welfare. Chinese immigrants to the U.S., meanwhile, see themselves penalized by affirmative action and wonder why they're paying the price for historic wrongs that other people committed, which is not a crazy question, by the way. One Chinese internet user described the white left as, quote, a spiritual epidemic that will destroy the West and destroy China, too, if it were foolish enough to follow their lead. As Donald Trump once noted of the Chinese, they're laughing at us. He may have been more right than he knew.
In this video, I won't dive deeply into the political complexity of Tibet or religion's interpretation of karma. That's an extremely complicated topic. But what matters here is something much simpler. A public figure speaking about devastating disaster that just killed tons of thousands of people chose to frame as a form of the cosmetic punishment. Whether that idea comes from a religion, whether Christian, Buddhism, or something else, using it to explain the suffering of ordinary people is deeply problematic, especially when you are speaking in front of cameras. The reason why Sharon Stone's name is still occasionally mentioned is not because of her works, but because of the warning left by this speech. The words and the deeds of the public figure never merely concern the individual. They also carry a sense of the reverses of for lie. What we have to learn from this is how to spread love and tolerance even more, especially in the current global environment. Maybe, but I'm not sure it's for her.
Stone is livid. Her sister Kelly is in the fight of her life, battling COVID-19 in this high-tech negative pressure hospital room in Montana.
Today is not a good day.
She has lupus and she's fighting for her life.
The actress is not holding back, laying the blame squarely on people who refuse to wear masks. The caption on her Instagram post, "One of you non-mask wearers did this." The deadly virus has already taken a terrible toll on her family.
My grandmother died of COVID, and my godmother died of COVID. My sister and her husband are fighting for their lives, and my sister is not doing well.
Is that karma? Is that karma? Is that karma? When you're not nice, that the bad things happen to you?
Well. That leaves me a very awkward position now. I saw a comment from a Chinese netizen under this video. Let me translate it for you. The reporter asks, do you know the grandmother, grandfather, sister, and brother-in-law of American actress Sharon Stone all passed away due to the pandemic? Of course, I know. Reporter asks, how do you feel about this? And he answered, you know, this is an interesting thing because first of all, I really don't like the way Sharon Stone treats the Republicans. She is not friendly towards Trump, and Trump is our good friend. Now that this has happened, is that karma? What's most ridiculous is that Sharon Stone was never cancelled by Hollywood. A group of journalists reports on China's human rights issue every day, appearing to care about the lives, property, and the rights of Chinese people. But when they see a left-wing white person express contempt for the life in face of the massive natural disasters, everybody seems to pretend they didn't see it. That is the problem of the human rights and double standards in the West.